everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today's video I will be doing this look on a dark smoky eye. I get asked a lot on how to do it, and for a lot of people it's quite difficult. So just in this video I will give you a few little tips and tricks on how I myself have learned. I am a non-qualified makeup artist. I am self-taught, so if I can do it, you guys can do it, trust me. So yeah, if you want to see how I got this look, then keep on watching. Okay, so to start with my face, I'm going to use the Mecca Cosmetica's Makeup Perfecting Primer, Shimmering Primer. I picked up the wrong one. I just used 2 squirts, and then I just rub it all over my face. I really like having a dewy base because it's very youthful and sparkly, and I love glitter. And then what I do is I follow it up with same company, Makeup Perfecting Mist. So we're starting with eyes. Because we're doing quite a heavy smoky eye, we want to be able to do the eyes first. So when you have that fallout on the rest of your cheeks and underneath your eyes, you can just wipe it away with a makeup wipe. And I'm just prepping my eyelids with the Double Wear Stay in Place Flawless Wear Concealer in 3C. I don't like to put a lot on. I just kind of do enough to get rid of that discoloration that I have on my eyelids. So just to set that concealer in place, I'm going in with the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette. And I'm just going to go in with this banana colour right here. And I'm just going to pat that on just to set it. I'm not putting a lot on, but what happens is if you don't set your eyelids after you've put a shadow base or a concealer down, when you go to blend in your eyeshadow, it gets stuck and it doesn't have that slip that you need in order to have a really beautiful blend. To start off with the smoky eye, I'm going in with the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and I'm just going to go into this shade right here and start doing a little bit of a crease color. I'm starting out with warm colors, and I'm just going back and forth like a windscreen wiper. Now the best way in order to find your crease is to be looking down into a mirror, and then what you can see is you can see where your lid just creases back. I don't have a very big lid crease, so I have to kind of create one. Next, with a big fluffy brush, I'm going to go into a slightly darker color right here, and then you're going to just start to layer those 2 colors together. The reason why you go in with so many colors is you get a much better transition when you're doing a really heavy smoky eye. It's always best to go in with a lighter color. I went in with this color first. If that's a bit too scary for you, you can go into this color right here. Sorry, didn't realize you couldn't see me. That's the color I'm using now. And I like to layer a good 4 or 5 colors just to get that really beautiful blend. Next color I'm gonna go in with is this really beautiful brick color right here. The transition colors are going to be quite warm, but the lid is going to be kept quite dark. Now, as you can see, I'm still going in between those 2 colors that I've already used, and I'm just wiping it back and forth. And you can see how much of the color comes up my lid space and between my eyebrow and my crease. You don't want to go all the way up because then that can look a little bit crazy. And then what I do is I go in with a clean fluffy brush, and then I just really just kind of almost like an eraser. I just soften out those harsh lines. So from here you're going to take a slightly smaller, fluffier brush, and you're going to start to go just a little bit deeper with those colors. I'm using this color here, and what I'm doing is I'm just focusing it on the outer corner of my lid. I'm doing it halfway through, just to create a little bit more of that shadow just there. And then what you can do is go back in with one of your first brushes that still has the shadow on it and just blend that through. And then from there, I'm going to be going to a slightly deeper color just here. I'm going to still use that fluffy brush, and I'm going to keep it on the outer edge and bring that slightly closer. And because this one's a little bit fluffier, you could bring it up just ever so slightly. It's always good to have a few different brushes, just because you'll get a nicer blend if you use a few different ones. I don't always use high-end brands. I tend to get a lot of my brushes off the internet. You can always find a few decent priced brushes that don't cost an arm and a leg. Okay, so here comes the fun part. So I like to have my black smoky eye quite black and quite intense. So what I like to do is use a cream black liner as my base. And this one is by MAC and it's called Black Track. With a densely packed flat brush, I just take a little bit and I start to cover that lid space. Try not to go too high, as that is my cat's, as you don't want it to get too muddy above that crease line. But as you can see, I'm just covering up all that lid space that has been left. You know, a little bit on your brush goes a long way. And don't worry about that line, because we're going to smudge that out. As you can see, you kind of just take the tip, very tip of your brush and just lightly feather it out. Don't go too hard, but just sort of lightly feather. We're going to be using a black shadow to smooth out that crease line anyway. And then what I'm doing is I'm going back in with my palette. I'm going to the black shadow. And I'm just picking it up with a pencil brush, which is a pointy-ended brush. And then I'm just going over that space right on the edges. From here, I like to go back in with one of the smokier red colors, and then just go back over that top section where your crease is, just where you've done all that blending with the black shadow. And then once again, just smoke that out. Next, I'm going in with the Urban Decay Vice palette, and it's full of really beautiful glittery eyeshadows. And what I'm doing is I'm taking my finger and I'm just popping it into this really beautiful metallic coal color, and then I'm just going to press it onto my eyes. Just like that. So same thing, I'm taking a slightly thicker brush, I'm spritzing it with Fix Plus, going into that same color, and what this does is it wets the eyeshadow a bit more, and then you get a little bit more of that color payoff. Makes the color a little bit thicker. So I've just grabbed a baby wipe, and I'm just going to clean up all of that fallout that we have just created. And as you're doing that, you kind of swipe upwards towards your eyebrow, and then you get more of that clean line. I'll be using a slightly dewy, creamy bronzer underneath my foundation today, and I'll be using the Zoeva Strobe Gel in Aureole, I think it's called. And it's actually very quite jelly and hard, but what I tend to use is a bigger fluffy brush. I tend to just kind of put it all over my face like this, and then I just buff it in. For my foundation, I will be using the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and the color I am using is a 3N1. I don't want a ton of coverage, but I do want something to get rid of all the uneven skin tone and just make it look like a nicer base. I'm using a foundation fluffy brush. I think this one is by PM Studio. I just like to buff that into my skin. I don't like to wear a lot of foundation. I just feel like when you're in your 30s, if you tend to wear a lot of foundation, it's very, very noticeable. You know, you can wear as much as you like, it's fine. I just find that for me, I really notice it. Always make sure that you blend into your neck and your ears, because if you don't, you get this really obvious line around your chin area, and it can highlight if you have a double chin like I have several, but you know, that's what happens. Okay, I'll be going back in with the Double Wear Concealer by Estee Lauder. I find that this is one of the most hydrating under eye concealers. I really do love Tarte Shape Tape, but I find that it gets quite dry underneath right underneath my lash line, and that's where I tend to have a lot of wrinkles. And what I'm doing here is I'm just getting rid of any decoloration on my face, any spots, any areas that I tend to go dark, like around the mouth, and any places that I just want to highlight. So just the bridge of my nose, just a little bit up here on my forehead, not by much, and then blending it out with a beauty blender. Just to lightly set the under eye area, I'm going back in with my favorite translucent powder, Rcma. I don't actually like to set my whole face. I don't like having a powdery finish, but I just like to set underneath ever so slightly, just so I don't have a lot of creasing. To finish off my under eye, I'm going back into the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm just going to be starting off with this red colour here. And I'm just brushing that underneath my lash line here. It's always nicer to go in with a slightly pointed brush, just because it becomes a little bit more precise. And I'm just attaching that to the line that we cleaned up just here. And then I'm going in with the darker brown and keeping that on the outer corner. You always look a little crazy doing this. You know, I can never actually look at what I'm doing because I need my eyes to be up. For my waterline, I'm going to be going back in with the MAC Backtrack. And I'm just going to push my eye down and just pop that on the waterline. For mascara, I'm going to be going in with the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. Just giving my lashes a couple of coats. Best way to not get mascara on your lids is to look down as you're applying it. But as you can see, I got just a little bit there, but I'll clean that up. What you want to do, if you tend to get a little bit of mascara on your lid or on your face, you just need to let it dry. Do not rub at it, because it'll just make it worse. Okay, so I'm going to do my lashes and my brows off camera, and I'll be back in a second. And I'm back. Okay, so 300 hours later, you still see that I've got that little mistake with the mascara there. What you're going to do is you're going to grab one of these things, it's called a spoolie, and you're just going to brush it off. And the reason why this works a lot better than trying to wipe it off is because you don't end up getting a big indentation of foundation coming off. And then what you do is you just go back over that little dab with your concealer brush, and there you go. To bronze up my face, I'm going back in with the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. I'm going to be taking the lightest colour here, big fluffy brush, and then just going in. I'm only going to be doing a light contour today. I don't want it to be too draggy. So just going back in with that first colour and just focusing it on my contour areas. To clean up my contour, I go back in with my foundation brush and just lightly buff under that harsh line there. Just make my cheekbones stick out a little bit more. So today I'm going in with two different highlighters. I like to have a highlight that you can see from outer space, NASA, you know, shooting star, I don't care, whatever it is. You can see it bouncing off my cheekbone. So first I'm going in with the iconic London Illuminating Drops in Original. What I tend to do is just squirt a few bits on the back of my hand, grab my damp beauty blender, and just press it into my cheekbone. As you can see, it is a full-on, but I love it. Woo. And then to finish it off, I'm so excited about these highlighters, I can't tell you. The Dose of Colors by Desi X Katy. These are the best highlighters I've ever used in my life, and I have a stack of highlighters. I'm going in with Fuego, going in with a slightly pointed brush, and then I'm just going over the top of that highlighter just to get more of a intense, lighter look on there. The reason why I like these highlighters so much is because it looks wet. I really love a wet looking highlighter. I really hate chunky glittered highlighters because you can see them coming down the street. For a little bit of blush, I'm going in with MAC's Telling Glow Extra Dimension Blush. This is a full-on blush, you guys, so you've got to be extra careful. The amount of times I've gone in full-on with my brush and then ended up looking like some sort of clown off American Horror Story, not a good look. So you literally just lightly tap it and just really nicely blend it in. And I haven't really used much at all, and you can see it coming up already. I get this is an extremely heavy makeup look. It is not for everybody, but you know what? I am all for beating the hell out of your face. I love it. I love going from an absolutely negative 100 to 100. I think it's fantastic. I love it. So next I'm going in with the second Dose of Colors highlighter, and this one is called Mirame. Like I said, I know it's a lot, but you know what? Who cares? And then I'm going in with a slightly smaller brush. I'm going back in with Fuego, and I'm just using that on the corner of my eyes here, just to really brighten that up. Sorry guys if I keep going in and out of focus, I don't have a camera that is autofocus, so please bear with me. Okay, so to finish off this look, I am keeping it nice and nude and pink on the lips because I went so ham on the eyes. I'm going in with MAC Cream Sheen Glass in Delight. Just to set everything in place, I'm going in with the MAC Fix Plus. You want to give it a good spray, do it from far, and then make sure you go in and really fan it out straight away. You don't want this drying on your face while it's still wet. You want to really dry it into the skin using a fan or a paper or whatever it is you want to use. And that, guys, is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it if you like. Head over to my YouTube channel. It is very new. There is not a lot of content, so I'm still a work in progress. So please follow, maybe comment down below, let me know what it is you'd like to see. And thanks for watching. Thanks, guys. Bye.